My last nightly newscast is this one. The 5 major breaking news stories have been amazing. I was watching Norah, and you were there. Was Norah O'Donnell's career affected by her recent diagnosis? The CBS actor reportedly broke down after hearing heartbreaking health news, leaving fans in shock. Why was this purported medical discovery so concerning? Join us as we explore the emotional journey that transformed O'Donnell's life. Norah O'Donnell never thought that a simple checkup would completely change her life. She made the decision to make a long overdue appointment with her dermatologist right before Thanksgiving. Until it happened, nothing appeared unusual. She was shocked when an urgent email from her doctor appeared while she was perusing the holiday deals. How could it be so urgent? It was more than a simple follow-up email. Her dermatologist, Dr. Elizabeth Hale, wanted to talk to her right away. Norah's thoughts were racing. Her health has always been a concern for her. Read? Because I cuddle up a lot in the cold, I can read more. Yes, hold on. Her mind was now filled with questions. Had she overlooked something? What might it be? The news hurt hard when the doctor eventually broke it. Melanoma. Her spine tingled at the mere mention of the term. However, there was more. Although it was detected early, the doctor told her that surgery was required right away. Usually the cool, collected face of the news, Norah was now struggling with panic. How could she have experienced this? How will this affect her future? One thing became evident to her as she processed the news. Her life was about to change in unexpected ways, and this was not going to be easy. It was even more difficult to break the news to her relatives. Known for her fortitude and tenacity, Norah O'Donnell now had to face the difficult responsibility of telling her loved ones. Jeff Tracy, her spouse, was quite worried. Her 9-year-old son, however, had the most heartbreaking experience. A question no mother likes to hear was asked by his naive voice. "Are you going to die, Mom?" Norah thought about that moment. She reassured him right away, but she was carrying the burden of doubt inside. He claimed that it seemed far longer than the 2.5 weeks he had been in the office. Do you know? How can a toddler understand something so complicated? The diagnosis turned into a family struggle rather than merely a personal one. Even though they were too little to fully comprehend the seriousness, her kids knew something wasn't right. Every look, embrace, and hushed discussion felt more important today. Even with the doctor's assurances, Norah couldn't help but wonder, what if they hadn't detected it sooner? What if she had been patient? She couldn't shake the thought. Her motivation came from her family's concern. She was aware that she needed to fight for them as much as for herself. It wasn't just her who had to deal with this diagnosis. In the upcoming months, their family's strengths would be put to the test as they shared this responsibility. There are gadgets out there that can be really beneficial, and I believe more parents would be interested in learning about them. The choice to have surgery wasn't tough, but the procedure was intimidating. Norah remembered the very moment her physician described the process. 3 layers of stitches, a large incision on her upper back, and a recuperation period that would provide her with unforeseen challenges. The news seemed unreal. Norah made an effort to be calm on the day of the procedure, but the anxiety persisted. Her thoughts strayed to her career, her family, and the unknown while she lay on the operating table. Despite its success, the operation left a physical and psychological scar. The discomfort after surgery wasn't limited to the body. Being told she couldn't work out for 6 weeks felt like a sentence to someone as active as Norah. She had always used exercise as a means of stress relief and escape. She was now caught up in her own thoughts. Her mental health suffered as a result of losing her daily routine. Every day seemed to drag on forever. In addition to being a continual reminder of her past experiences, the scar on her back came to represent her tenacity. She was aware that the fight was far from finished and that the healing process was only getting started. Memories came flooding back as Norah thought about her past. San Antonio's sunny days, hours of track and field, game yelling, and yes, tanning salon trips. It all appeared innocuous at the time. However, those recollections felt different today. Did her diagnosis result from these decisions? Norah's thoughts were not unique. Many people, particularly those in their youth, were unaware of the risks associated with UV exposure. She came to learn that decisions that seemed little at the time had far-reaching effects. Though she didn't want to linger on the past, her previous choices suddenly felt like lessons she wished she had learned sooner. Norah concentrated on what she could do right now instead. She made a commitment to safeguard her skin by avoiding tanning beds and using sunscreens with a high SPF. We are all painfully reminded that we still have a long way to go by the economic uncertainty. Above all, though, she wished to caution others. Her story served as a wake-up call for everyone who believed that they would not endure the same thing as her. Nora's narrative was about what might happen to anyone, not simply what actually happened. One question lingered as she reflected on her journey. How many people were unwittingly following in her footsteps? Norah O'Donnell's diagnosis turned into a goal rather than merely a personal struggle. She wanted to ensure that others understood the value of early detection because she had personally experienced it. She started speaking up and telling her story to millions of people thanks to her platform. But did anyone actually pay attention? Her message was unambiguous. Don't delay. Skin checks on a regular basis weren't a luxury. They were essential. Early detection of melanoma could mean the difference between life and death, she underlined. Still, a lot of folks put it off. Why? Norah wished to alter that perspective. I like spending that time with you because I believe that most relationships may be too challenging, especially when you have children. Her efforts were not in vain. After hearing her story, viewers began making appointments for their own examinations. Because of her warnings, several people even found skin tumors in their early stages. But Norah was aware that she still had work to do. She was troubled by the idea that someone would put off getting checked out. She felt obligated to continue advocating and reminding others of the need of prevention. However, one question persisted in the midst of her advocacy. Would this experience always be a part of her story, or could she ever really move on from it? Norah couldn't help but ponder as she went about her mission. Before it was too late, how many lives could she save? Carefree did not equate to cancer-free. After receiving the diagnosis, Norah O'Donnell faced a unique set of difficulties. She had to return to the dermatologist's office every 4 months, holding her breath while they inspected every square inch of her skin. Despite having the largest intelligence budget in the nation, the CIA is actually anxiety accompanied every visit. What would happen if they discovered something? Despite being cured, her scar acted as a continual reminder. She frequently saw her mirror and followed the thin line on her back to recall the ordeal she had gone through. It was more than simply her, though. Her kids observed intently, learning the value of sunscreen and routine examinations. The lessons she had learnt the hard way were reflected in each bottle of sunscreen near the front door. Norah's life was never the same. She had a persistent anxiety of recurrence that persisted in the back of her mind. But so was the resolve to remain watchful. Although she was aware that she had no control over everything, she did have some influence over how she would handle her health going forward. One thought kept coming to her as she adapted to this new normal. How many other people shared their anxiety and were ignorant of the dangers they faced on a daily basis? It was difficult for her to juggle her health and a rigorous media career. Tight deadlines, breaking news, and never-ending duties characterized Norah O'Donnell's days. However, a new layer had been added. Her well-being? Would she be able to balance both without sacrificing either? Think about Norah O'Donnell when you watch her on the CBS Evening News. She acknowledged that the diagnosis had altered her outlook. Each health tale she covered felt more intimate. She was aware of what it was like to hear unexpected medical news. Her reporting was much more powerful as a result of her increased empathy. However, the fight was real behind the scenes. On certain days, fatigue overcame Norah, but she persisted. She was always dedicated to her profession, but she also understood the need of taking care of herself. Even when her schedule seemed unachievable, she found time for regular checkups. However, she frequently questioned if she could maintain this pace indefinitely. Every evening, her viewers witnessed a calm, self-assured anchor, but few were aware of the struggles she dealt with off-camera. One question hung over Norah as she continued to balance her health and job. For what length of time could she maintain this delicate equilibrium before something had to give? An impartial, objective, and fact-based news source. Norah O'Donnell's future was bright because her profession was still flourishing and there were fresh prospects coming up. However, the specter of her diagnosis continued to haunt her as she looked to the future. What was in store for her next phase of life? She would continue to be a well-known figure on television thanks to her contract extension with CBS, but speculation about her future abounds. Would she play new parts? Would she become even more of an advocate for health awareness? Eager to find out where her adventure would take her, fans conjectured. Norah wasn't done yet. That much was clear. Numerous people were impressed by her story, which was full with struggles and victories. However, one question remained unanswered as she went on. What impact will her experience have on journalism's future health advocacy? How do you feel about the experience that Norah had? Have you ever experienced a similar awakening? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Remember to watch our upcoming video for more motivational tales from your favorite figures.